Oh my goodness. So interesting. But okay, so let's stay on the topic of attraction a little bit. So we know that, in long-term relationships, say, 5, 10, 20 years in, a woman after having kids, obviously she's not going to be dolled up all the time. And a man, same thing, he's tired, he's working. People let themselves go and with their actions and the way they look. How important is it to continue looking your best or feeling your best in terms of physical attraction versus the intellectual and treatment attraction?
Here's the thing, something that people need to wake up to. The reality is, of course, you don't have to stay on top of yourself. You don't have to stay on top of your looks or your appearance. You don't have to. But everything comes with a reaction. If you don't stay on top of yourself, your partner's going to lose sexual interest in you.
Okay.
That's it. It's that simple. So, and vice versa. It works both ways. Now, if you think that your partner is going to love you unconditionally, absolutely, he can love you unconditionally. But is he going to desire you unconditionally? No.
But is it natural, do you think, even if somebody looks great for like 30 years, 40, whatever, 20 years, do you think it's natural to continue being attracted to the same person?
You can do, but you have to. Here's how you stay attracted to. Let's say, for example, you look great. You're David Beckham and Victoria Beckham. How you would stay attracted to each other is you stay curious about each other. As your life is evolving and changing, what would happen is you should be learning new things about your partner as your journey is going on. The person they are today is going to be different to the person they were 10 years ago and 5 years ago. So the novelty can still exist if you take an interest in the person that they're becoming. But if you are losing your, let's say, for example, you're somebody who has let go of themselves, but then you're furious when your partner says, hey, can we get you back in shape? Can you go to the gym? You're being unreasonable only because I can understand with kids, you need all the time in your world. But if this person is not allowed to be physically intimate with anybody else on the planet, isn't it? It's like if you can only eat one meal, you want it to at least be a nice meal. I don't think it's an unreasonable request. And when kids, it's totally unreasonable. I get it. You take your time with it. But without kids or after kids, it's just human nature to expect it. So if you refuse to change with that, no worries, but expect the sexual desire to decrease. It's just a natural consequence of both of them. Now, some people are lucky that they both are happy to just have less sexual desire, or they both fade sexually in the same way, so they're still compatible. But if there's incompatibility in that area, unfortunately, it will lead to incompatibility in the physical relationships.
Okay. And that's going to kind of lead me into my next conversation, which is basically, what about betrayal?
Yes.
So let's say in a relationship, one person betrays the other. Do you think that it is able to be amended? Like, can people come back to being in a relationship together, or is it different for men and women?
It can be mended. I always say it can be mended. Of course, it depends on your own level of pre-existing trauma. Some people can handle abandonment a lot better than others. But here's the thing with betrayal. People love to say that the person who's betrayed is completely wrong and I'm completely right and he's a narcissist or she's a narcissist and that's the end of the story. But reality is most betrayal involves a unmet need in some way, shape or form. Now, it might be that you chose badly. You chose somebody who has that pattern, who's unable to commit to one person, needs novelty, and therefore it was a matter of time. But other times it might be that you show them any love and affection for a long period of time, but you've got kids, they didn't want to risk the whole house, and you've got a good friendship, didn't want to risk it, and then they selfishly met their needs elsewhere. But usually a lot of the betrayal involves a unmet need. Sometimes, we like to believe that, especially with men, they like to say, oh, they just want to do it. They just want to do it. But if that was the case, they'd want to do it with their wife all the time. They don't just want to do it. They want to feel something. And usually they want to feel desired. And same thing with women. It's not that they just want to do it. They want to feel a particular feeling that they haven't had in a long time. So figure out what that is. Try and put it in your relationship, but then ask your partner honestly, are you addicted to the novel feeling of excitement? If that's the case, you're going to struggle getting back together. If that's not the case and it was just one-off, it's repairable.
It's repairable.
But in my personal experience, if it's a woman that's cheated on a man, it's very difficult to repair.
Okay, how come?
Because the woman herself, when she's been physically intimate and enjoyed it with another man, she finds it very difficult to reverse her sexual connection with with the men in general. So what happens is if she's enjoyed that experience in any way, shape or form, when you've enjoyed an experience in any way, shape or form, it's very difficult to reverse and go backwards from it.
Okay, because there's maybe a certain amount of feeling involved also for women.
Because we can't enjoy it unless we're safe and connected and so on and so forth.
100%.
So if she's enjoyed it, then she finds it difficult. And so, and what happens is the men forgive so much more cheating than you'd realize. Yeah, so much more. Really? They pretend online and everything that, oh, I'd never forgive it.
Yeah.
Deep down, I promise you, it's more men forgiving women than it is the other way around. Because women, when they find out, they make a big show out of it. They want to tell their friends, and like, guess what he did? They want to post memes on Instagram and so on and so forth. So by that time, they've made such a big hoo-ha that they kind of walked out. What happens is men, they've got no one to tell this to.
Because it's embarrassing for them.
Humiliating. So what happens is the only person they can talk to is the wife, and she can kind of get him to forgive. And they usually forgive. Yeah, they usually forgive. They pretend they don't, but they usually forgive. Now, the problem is men can reverse sexually. Women, they find it hard. They find it hard.
So say he does forgive her. Does that have any long-term repercussions, though? What if he gets really, what about resentment?
It has more long-term repercussions on him than her.
Okay.
Long-term repercussions on her is she starts to realize that she has complete control of this relationship and he will never leave. If he doesn't leave now, he'll never leave. So the door is now open. So before infidelity, there's an element of fear that if he finds out, I'm dead.
Yeah.
When she realizes he doesn't forgive, it just means, okay, the door is now open.
Right. So she could do it
We
again.
remember the forgiveness, not the betrayal.
I see.
So we remember the fact that you forgave us more than we'll remember the big fight that you had in the process.
Oh.
So that's why it leaves the door open now in future. And then the man himself starts to hate himself because he knows it's something that he shouldn't be doing. Society's told him he shouldn't be forgiving. He doesn't feel comfortable forgiving. And yet he doesn't have the strength to walk away. So he loses respect for himself. And it does lead to slow depression in a lot of them.
Wow. So it's like for men, it becomes self-hate.
Self-hate.
And for women, it's just kind of like, I can leave. I'm at the door.
I mean, it does obviously traumatize a woman as well.
No, of course.
Definitely, but the thing is, she has more social support.
100%.
Yeah.
Women
have
luckier
so much
with
more
this.
social support. So, and that's a big a determinant of whether you heal from trauma.
Yes.
And whereas men have no social support, because every man would say, what are you doing? Oh, that's crazy, even though they've secretly forgiven their wife for a lot of things. And also publicly, nobody talks about it.
100%.
So they have no social support, so it turns to internal damage.